Energy Safety Canada is updating its audit tools to reflect legislative changes and partnership program updates. These changes come into effect January 1st, 2023. In the preceding slides, I will outline the changes coming to the Alchemist eCompliance audit tool for 2023 audits. As of January 1st, 2023, there will no longer be an option to include the injury management return to work questions. This program was discontinued by WorkSafe BC in 2022 due to the fact that their audit protocol is currently under revision. In 2020, partnerships made the decision to do a documentation-only audit in the wake of COVID-19. As of 2023, all audits will now include documentation, interview, and observation, eliminating the requirement for a documentation-only score. In the preceding slides, I will discuss the new streamlined guidelines. Currently, the guidelines are split into an explanation, the scoring, and what specific items the note must include. These are very prescriptive and lengthy. The new style of guideline provides simple instructions and scoring requirements with a requirement to provide details or examples, but they are not specified. This allows for Energy Safety Canada and the auditors to have more flexibility. In the preceding slides, we'll discuss the changes to questions in the audit tool. A slight change has been made to the wording in question A1A. Partnership Standard has removed the word protection and maintenance. Question B3C was removed as this was already being verified in most cases through the orientation questions. Question C1C was removed as there is a similar question covered under C4E. The most impacted section of the audit was Topic 5, Violence and Harassment Prevention, which was previously 7 questions, has now been reduced to 3. So the new questions are, does the company have a violence prevention plan, which meets legislated requirements? And then C5B, the same thing for harassment prevention plan. And finally, C5C, have the plans been reviewed as per legislated requirements? A slight modification has been added to question E2C, which includes a practical demonstration by the trainee or E's to confirm they have acquired the knowledge or skill related to the subject matter for on-the-job training. Element F, Topic 1, Emergency Response Plan. This question has been modified to add additional criteria and link it back to the previous question F1B, which was asking the company to have applicable scenarios identified for each type of emergency that could happen within their organization. So the question has been edited to include now scenarios identified in F1B have communication procedures, emergency contacts, evacuation plans, and rescue plans outlined within that emergency response plan. Another slight change that impacted the incident reporting questions was the update to the language of occupational illness, where previously it would just state illness. Element I, Other Affected Parties. Legislation has rolled self-employed persons into other employers. We have removed the previous question I1A. Are other employers and self-employed persons made aware of the health and safety policy through some form of distribution of the policy? We've removed this question as that policy should be covered in the onboarding process. We've added the requirement for incident and hazard reporting and participation in investigations as requirements for identified responsibilities in the new question I1A, which was I1B, are specific health and safety responsibilities written for other employers and visitors. And then we've reworded question I1B, which is I1C currently, to be more clear language. So, is there a policy or procedure to address the protection of anyone not employed by the company to ensure their health and safety while on or near your work sites? In element J, Specifically, Topic 1, Design of the Health and Safety Committee, we've removed question J1A, which required the company to have a policy for the health and safety representative in place. This bumped up the questions below. Instead of having specific criteria for the terms of reference listed in the question and guidelines, we've just replaced that with as per legislated requirements. So it's up to the auditor to ensure they know those requirements for the legislation for each jurisdiction they are auditing in, as well as the removal of the posting of the contact names and information to just say, is it readily available, as this could be available to the employees on SharePoint. Next, I'll just share with you a summary of the scoring changes. The areas highlighted have scoring changes. So overall, the 2023 COR audit is worth 39 less points than the current COR audit protocol, with the biggest areas of impact being in elements E, F, and G. This concludes the changes for the 2023 COR audit protocol. The following slides will cover the changes to the SECOR program for auditors who will be conducting external SECOR audits. The preceding slides will discuss the changes to the SECOR protocol, specifically to external SECORs, which is launching January 1st, 2023. Element A, Management Involvement and Commitment. New requirements include the health and safety policy must include a reference to the company's goals, aims, responsibilities, and commitment to health and safety, which hasn't changed, but what has changed is that now it must address the physical, psychological, and social well-being of employees. Rather than just the key employees having a level of awareness of the applicable legislation, it's now all employees. And the employees must be aware of all 3 OHS rights and responsibilities, which is now an interview question rather than a documentation question. Previously, this element was worth a total of 48 points. It's now out of 36 points, which makes up 10.6% of the audit score. Element B, Hazard Assessment, New Requirements. A written program is required outlining the requirements of how to conduct formal hazard assessments. Additional requirements to create, review, revise the formal hazard assessments when site-specific hazard assessments, inspections, and/or investigations identify a previously unrecognized hazard. Verification that formal hazard assessments are being reviewed as per their predetermined frequency. Verification of employee participation in the development, review, and revisions of formal hazard assessments, and that the company has a site-specific hazard assessment system in place and that it's been implemented. Previously worth 68 points, it's now worth 56 points and 12.7% of the audit score. Changes to element C, hazard control, new requirements. We're looking for site-specific hazard assessments to include hazard controls. We want to ensure the employer is ensuring the use of hazard controls on their employees, and written violence and harassment prevention plans are in place meeting legislated requirements. Previously 54 points, it's now worth 48 points, but 15% of the total audit score. There are no changes to the inspection questions. However, they've been pulled from element B and moved to their own elements, which is D. So these questions were previously B8, B9, and B10. They were worth 21 points. They're now worth 34 points and 10% of the audit score. Now move to element E, qualifications, orientations, and training. New requirements. We're looking to see that refresher training is occurring at set intervals, that a practical demonstration is included in on-the-job training, and that competency assessments are being completed when operational changes are requiring it. This also included the refusal of unsafe work verification question as it's moved to under element A, verifying those employees know the 3 OHS rights and responsibilities. Old points 39, new points 34%, now worth 10% of the overall audit score. Element F, emergency response, only slight changes were that we combined question E1 to 3, which are now question F1. So there's 4 questions in total, which are worth 30 points, previously 32, and 8.8% of the overall audit score. A couple changes to element G, incident reporting and investigation. So the reporting of work refusals is now added to the incident reporting requirements. Only one question now about providing completed near misses and investigations. So those were combined. And then Alberta companies no longer have questions regarding statistics, record keeping, or trending. However, those will still be required for BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. So Alberta companies will have 5 required questions in this element, and all other provinces will have 8 questions. So where this was 53 points previously, it's now 29 points in Alberta and 43 points in the other provinces, worth 8.5% of the audit score. Element H, which is now system administration. The only thing that's changed here is those prime contractor orientation and forums are no longer required. So this will still cover safety meetings as % frequency and the action plan questions. Previously worth 53 points, with the removal of those prime contractor questions, is now worth 35 points and 9.7% of the total audit score. A new addition to the SECOR was element I, other affected parties. So the new requirements are to have a process in place to address the protection of anyone not employed by the company to ensure their health and safety well on or near your workplace. Ensure hazards and controls are communicated to external worksite parties, so that's anyone working on your site, and have a system for hiring and monitoring other employers to ensure they have a functioning health and safety program in place. This is worth 30 points and 8.8% of the total audit score. And last but not least, we have added element J, health and safety representative. This will apply to companies with 5 to 10 employees. So to have that health and safety rep appointed, that's a worker level with assigned legislated duties and required training and participation applicable to the jurisdictions in which you operate. That you have a written process in place to address employee health and safety concerns and complaints and provide recommendations to the employer, and that those concerns and complaints are being resolved in a timely manner. And everyone needs to be aware of who that health and safety rep is, so the contact information must be readily available. This can be on SharePoint or posted throughout the facility. So this is worth 20 audit points and 5.9% of your total audit score. And in the following slides, we'll just cover the changes to the guidelines. You'll notice that they've been mirrored to look like the COR Audit guidelines. Like the COR Audit Protocol, the guidelines currently are prescriptive and lengthy. And we have shortened them now to match how we've changed the COR Audit Protocol guidelines to be streamlined. And that concludes our presentation on the COR updates for 2023 and the SECOR Audit Protocol changes for 2023. If you have any questions, please send an email to corinfo@energysafetycanada.com or call the COR hotline at 1-800-667-5557 extension 3. Thank you for your time.